What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Hey, I'm UFC President Dana White, and you're in the ring with Callum McGregor.
To me, the Lions are the #1 rankings out there. Those guys are the ones who really do their homework, you know what I mean?
But this fight, I'm telling you, it's a flip of a coin.
He did not tap.
Let's go! Let's go!
Okay, here we go. UFC 279 is upon us. We got the podcast out early this week trying to get any lines we could, and thank you for your input as well. We want to try to push as much content for you guys as possible, whether it's early with Nick's picks, if Nick sees some edges, pushing out the podcast, the over 1.5 with props, interviews with fighters. We've got to step our motherfucking game up while still trying to pay the bills, working our real jobs. So that being said, let's dig in, find some spots. I've already done the podcast earlier in the week, ran solo, and I realized I could be as good as I want to be, man. I need you, buddy. You know what I mean? We'd have the band off the back of this and really break things down. So today what I'm going to do is sort of tee you up here, have you break down your angles, and if I have any props or spots, I'll dig in, okay? First fight we're going to look at is Chimaev against Nate Diaz. We have now a little bit of money coming in on Nate, which has dropped Khamzat down to -1,000. Nate coming in as the +700 dog. Really, when I broke it down on the podcast earlier, all I really said was very simply that the only value angle on this, if you want to touch this fight, is if you actually are going to go with the dog and you believe this is a possibility. And if you do, Nate's not going to win by decision because he's going to get beaten up for at least 4 of those rounds and maybe have a big round at the end if it went to decision. Nate's not going to win by knocking him out. I mean, sure, anybody can win by a knockout, but that's a fucking far-fetched. The only way I could see it happening is if Nate late comes at basically gasses like a motherfucker, and you see Nate in a crazy situation on his back. And when I say that, I just more said that because I had nothing else to talk about with this fight. There's really no angle. That was my sort of sprinkle on it, if you want to be crazy, for those Nate Diaz fans. A late sub, I think, is the way to do it. Otherwise, stay off it. Really just stay off it. This is a 1-800-GAMBLER situation a la Uncle Weezy, if there ever was one. Pass it off to you. How do you see this fight going? Round 1, round 2.
Yeah, man. Honestly, this is a slaughter of a fight, right? We know how this fight's gonna go. I think Diaz should have never fought at welterweight to begin with. I think he's too small for the division in hindsight. And as I said, we've seen Khamzat come out and beat up guys like Gilbert Burns and people like that who stand much bigger, much taller, much more muscular. The only value I see on this fight is the over 1.5 because it's only sitting at -165, and I don't think you're going to see like Chimaev come out. Like, I think he's going to play with this food for a little bit, and getting Diaz out of there, and by anybody's standards, even if it is Chimaev, will probably take some time. So I like the over -165. I think it's turning a -1900 favorite into somewhat of a value play, I guess you could say.
Yeah, when I sort of talked about this one, I compared it to like maybe the Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva, if you're ever to play a crazy angle like that. But I think a better comparison would be if it would be Nunes against Pena. Where Chimaev comes out, punches himself out, plays the wrong game plan. Diaz isn't the guy to punch out. Say Diaz doesn't really get caught too hard on the chin and then outlasts him. But either way, we talk too much about a fight that's likely going to go one way and one way only, and there's going to be no way to make money on it. Don't parlay it. Don't do anything with it. But man, let's dig into the next one. We got Tony Ferguson, Li Jingliang, looking -325. The gap is getting wider and wider, and I like it. Tony Ferguson coming in as the dog is, +250. I have a pretty extensive thought on this, and my thought is pretty simple. In his knockouts, he didn't really get knocked out by Gaethje big. He wasn't completely out. He gets knocked out by Chandler more recently, and it was a circumstantial knockout. It's not like it was a buildup of punches. He looked chinny. It was a beautiful kick landed at the perfect time. Didn't see it coming. The epitome of getting knocked out is when you really don't see it coming at all. And I just don't know if he's as chinny as people say. So as this line got wider, I'm looking at it, and I think that there's value on Tony Ferguson, especially the way he looked in that first round. He was starting to piece up Chandler. And I think that if he can come in with a little bit of a smarter game plan with Greg Jackson in his ear, at least during the fight, see how he responds to that. But yeah, man, Tony Ferguson's aside for me, and I like Tony Ferguson by submission. The Diaz is more of a whimsical fairy tale, as I said before, but I legitimately think Ferguson can get a submission late in this one. What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, like to be honest, I am more on the Lee side. It's just because I don't think, once again, we talked about welterweight before. I don't really think Tony Ferguson should be moving up in weight. I didn't find him to be that big of a lightweight to begin with. So we'll see how they all are on the scales tomorrow, and we'll see how they match up. But I see Lee being quite larger than him. I said I don't hate the submission angle. I think if you're going to play Ferguson, it's probably the way to play it because I think people think that the striking is going to be a little bit more. Like more of a gap than it actually will be. I can really see Tony standing there going toe to toe. I agree with you on saying that the KO was kind of not like a fluke, but it was a front kick from a guy that's like 5'4". Like it's not really the fact that his leg can go that high, I think was more of a surprise than the knockout in itself. So I don't think Tony's chinny. Like he went 5 rounds with Gaethje and the ref called it off. It's not like he went out. His other two losses, he just got wrestled, which is Lee going to do that? Potentially, but then you're kind of giving Tony Ferguson his win condition. So I don't agree with the line. I think it's wide, but I really think it's just a dog or pass situation. I don't personally have a safe way per se to play this fight because we really don't know how Tony Ferguson is going to look at welterweight.
Yeah, and as I'm saying, I'm digging for Tony Ferguson. Obviously, I'm sort of painting a narrative of him catching him late with a sub. But if you look at even where the value is, even if you look at Tony Ferguson wins inside the distance, it's plus 475. If I'm looking from my angle side of things, and really it's more just looking on the dog value. So I can try to get as cute as I want with it. Say if Tony does pull it out, what if it's by decision because he just mucks him up and cuts him up and looks like the Tony of old? What if he does knock him out? That's likely not going to happen, or submits him. But my whole point of this is if you're going to actually look at Tony Ferguson, just go money line. Don't get cute with it. Anyways, but yeah, Li Jingliang like is likely the side. He could likely just bloody him up and muck him up too. But same token, that is a wide line to be touched. So
But I
we
do
move
think
on.
Lee kind of sucks. Like I honestly like I think people think this fight should be Tony should be crazy outmatched. So I said I don't hate anybody taking the dog shot on it because I really don't think it's going to be that much of a slaughter than you see a lot of the other people out there pushing. So we'll see. But this is more of a show me spot.
Next fight on the card, we have Kevin Holland, Daniel Rodriguez, minus 210 coming in on Kevin Holland, Daniel Rodriguez, plus 170. Kevin Holland seems to have found fight IQ. Kevin Holland seems to have found his rhythm, moving up a weight class. And now we have Rodriguez coming in off of, I think it's about a year layoff, a little bit over a year layoff. He fought Kevin Lee on short notice in his last fights. I look good against Kevin Lee, but like I said in the podcast, it doesn't really mean much. Kevin Lee's stand-up is sort of blah, and to be honest, he doesn't implement what he's trying in wrestling properly anyways. So really, I don't know how to take Daniel Rodriguez coming in on this fight that was sort of put together. I don't want to say on short notice, they got a camp out of it, but it just seems like it was sort of strung together. Kevin Holland definitely the side for me. I like momentum. I like fight IQ, and it seems like he's really implementing that. I think late he could finish this on the ground. I think on the feet he's going to be able to keep range. But Daniel Rodriguez got some crazy boxing. He doesn't go away. He fights for your money and has all the signs of a dog that you want. So I'll tee you up to this one. What are you thinking about this fight? Kevin Holland, Daniel Rodriguez.
I'm on the complete other side, man. I like Daniel Rodriguez and I like Daniel Rodriguez by decision at plus 400. I just think that he's gonna be able to box him. I like Kevin Holland, but I think he kind of just more frustrates his opponents with his style. I don't think his skills are really that great. Like he's the type of guy once again, like he yells at you. You saw it on his contender series fight. Like he was yelling at Dana White, like, hey, watch this, and hits the guy when the guy's going like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? So I think with Daniel Rodriguez, like he's got underrated grappling that he doesn't show. So I don't think the grappling advantage will be heavily there for Holland. Rodriguez had a year off. He had a hand injury or something. Took some time to recover. But I honestly just think his boxing is better. And I feel like this fight's going to mainly be contested on the feet. And I think from a technical aspect, unless he can really like make D-Rod get into like a full out exchange, I think D-Rod will just pick him apart with his jab, and his boxing will just look a lot better down the stretch. I think it will be close though, and I think it will go to the judges at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I definitely could see it going to the judges, and that was something I had mentioned. I was sort of in on initially when I looked at this fight. I'm like, ride the momentum of Holland, finishing guys inside the distance. And I'm like, no, D-Rod's no joke. His boxing's no joke. He doesn't go away. So that tailed me back to Kevin Holland by decision. So I'm sort of on the same lines of thinking where both guys are going to nullify a finish and really have a good battle. And I definitely see the dog value on this, man. I fully definitely see he's just, when you have a guy that's going to fight for your dollar, there is value there for sure. However, this may be a shoey bet. Next fight on the card, we have Irene Aldana against Macy Chiasson. Both awesome kickboxers, or pretty solid kickboxers. The line is starting to move in the way of Macy Chiasson, the dog, plus 146. Aldana coming in at minus 182 is the favorite. Both girls do very well at countering. As I mentioned, they do very well at corralling girls in. Let them, throw one or two shots. They slip out the pocket, counter them really well. This should be a really fun one, but I just think Irene Aldana has Chiasson outclassed in every aspect of this. I know she has a little bit of range on her, but I mean, I just think Aldana's going to be able to push the pace on her, have a couple big moments, and win a decision. Definitely actually enjoyed watching tape on this. These girls are I love watching their stand-up game, pretty solid. What's your take on this one? Minus 182, Aldana, Chiasson the dog, plus 146. Take it away.
Yeah, man, I really have to agree on this one. I like Chiasson. I like her grappling. Or sorry, I like her striking. I think it's on point. But also, I think Aldana's just gonna be able to control her movement. I think that Chiasson's only chance of getting or winning this fight is gonna be like a KO. And I think that's just probably unlikely because once again, it's women's MMA. You don't really see this frequently. So this fight's probably gonna go to a decision. But as I said, we have seen Chiasson be a dog. And at the price tag, you can't get too mad about it. So, but I think Aldana wins this in every aspect, this fight, as you said.
Yeah, I think Aldana's will likely get ahead pretty early. And then the only other win condition I could think of with Chiasson is she tries to actually shoot for a takedown. But Aldana's pretty sound with her striking, doesn't overcommit to a strike and leave herself exposed to takedowns too often. So I'm definitely on the Aldana side. And we will move forward into the next fight of the night. So next fight we have Ion Cutelaba against Johnny Walker in a fight that, I mean, could have makings for a 3-round sloppy fight of the night type situation where it's absolutely crazy and you're like, oh my God, because it's technique goes out the window and it's just whatever. But I don't really want to put anything near Johnny Walker, who's a guy who didn't show up for a main event and then came in and got starched by a hill in what I described as a tree getting chopped down. He looked like he went off onto his heels and hinged down like a tree, falling. It was pretty brutal. And then you have Ion Cutelaba, who's shown time and time again, both guys' fight IQs are out the window. Gas tank for Cutelaba out the window. He gets submitted by Ryan Spann in the first round of his last fight. But Ion Cutelaba coming in at minus 220, I believe, for 200 favorite against Johnny Walker plus 167, and likely, I believe, is probably going to be his last fight on his UFC contract if he doesn't get a win. What's your take on this fight? Ion Cutelaba.
Sorry, I had the mic muted there. Yeah, I think the only way to play this fight is violence, man. Because as I said, like you're gonna see both guys come out. Cutelaba comes out like a wild man every single time. Hopefully, we see more of an energetic pace from Johnny Walker. But I think at the end of the day, if it stays standing, he's definitely live to get the KO against Ion. And I think if Ion decides to wrestle, he'll be able to smash out Walker on the ground. Because as we've seen time and time again, his chin has not been reliable as of late. So I think violence is the play, man.
Yeah, I mean, under 1.5 is minus 150. May not be there, but we'll see. I mean, I like maybe parlaying fight not to complete 2 full rounds at minus 230.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all.
But yeah, man, that's not a bad spot for a parlay. I think that's going to definitely happen. I think going into that second half of that second round, if they're still alive, someone's going out because they're going to be a mess. I don't see. I can't see it. I can't see Walker trying to push a slow pace and try to point him. Cutelaba won't allow it, and then both guys are going to get touched. Gas tanks are going to go. It's going to be a slot fest. Next fight in the card, we have the opposite, at least from Hakeem Dawodu against Julian Erosa. I think Dawodu definitely is the side at minus 220, maybe at minus 200, and maybe a little bit less, but still, kickboxing more superior. Should be able to touch up Erosa, who just likes to sort of get in wars, hang his head out there. You know, he probably had more promise at the beginning of his career, and now just was willing to just get touched way too much to land. So I'm going to take Hakeem Dawodu doing this in a clean decision. What's your take in this one? Minus 220. Dawodu, the Canadian, against Arosa, plus 178.
I see a lot of love coming on Arosa here, but I honestly don't see it. I think Dawodu is definitely the side. He has seemed to be a little bit chinny in the past, but Arosa also puts himself in positions where you can't really like put yourself in those positions, especially against a power puncher like Dawodu. So
Yeah.
as much as I just like I don't see the love there, man. Like I said, Dawodu's gonna be able to land the cleaner shots. Arosa has shown to have some KO ability, but guy comes in hands low, man, chin up high, and I feel like this kind of Dawodu show me fight where he'll be able to find that spot fairly easily. So like I like Dawodu by KO a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he typically, and I mentioned it, he's not a guy that typically throws a big power shot, but what he will do is set up his strikes really well and sort of catch you the same way, say, Edwards set up Uzman, right? So his kickboxing is that level. That being said, he does end up going by decision quite a bit. Dawodu by KO or decision is minus 200. I don't hate that, but I mean, that's right there at money line anyways. But if you want to dig in on the KO prop, I definitely could see it, because if there's ever someone that's going to leave it there for Dawodu to do it, it's definitely Julian Erosa. So I don't mind the KO or even Dawodu in round 1 or 2 at plus 250. But they even have him at, if you want to even look at late, round 3 or by decision is even money right now. Next fight on the card, we have. This is going to be interesting. We have short notice. Anton Turkali against Jalton Almeida. Almeida coming in with some decent stand-up, but the power is primarily why it's decent. If he touches you, he tends to drop you. He's willing to throw kicks at low or high because he's willing for you to try to shoot to take him down, but really he's going to try to shoot to take you down. I think he averages about 5 shots a fight or something like that. I don't have the stats in front of me right now, but he shoots quite a bit. Dominant jiu-jitsu practitioner, and will look to submit Turkali in. I mean, Turkali came in short notice, really was lackluster on the Dana White Contender Series in what looked like a good wrestling performance. Like, he did dominate his opponent, but he's had some big knockout wins on the regional scene as well too. But really, he's cringy as hell. Didn't live up to what I think he's supposed to be. And the line is now sitting at minus 800 for Almeida to Turkali's plus 475. This is not a dog shot, ladies and gentlemen. But I don't know if I really want to touch it at this point. But Almeida inside the distance is nice, or at least what I would look at if you're going to touch it. But how do you see this one going?
Yeah, I just hope Jalton Almeida's not dumb in the spot, right? Like with the Kool-Aid, like the guy pretty much wins by ground and wins by submission. So I'm really just hoping that with Jalton having kind of what he assumes to be an advantage on the ground, he keeps us standing, because this could be one of these things where you have like an Amanda Nunes situation where you parlay the guy that's just giving you zero value and just makes a real poor life decision that costs you your ticket. I obviously think
That's the
Jalton
last guy that you want to lose to is Turkali.
That's what I mean. Like, it's just, but once again, like if he takes him down and Turkali finds that submission, like it's not probable like that his win condition, right? You and I talk about this all the time. Like, if I'm gonna bet this fight at all, I'm gonna bet Turkali by submission, because I'm gonna get like plus 1,800 or something stupid on it. I'm not gonna bet Almeida and whatever minus 900 he's sitting at. Like, it's obscene. Like, there's zero value there, right? I think Almeida wins, and I think he wins by KO. But once again, if that fight hits the ground, it could get a little bit dicier than what it's going to
inside
show.
the distance is minus 330, but maybe just stay off it altogether unless you're going to do a round prop and sprinkle out. But it's not even, honestly, it's not even worth it. The value's not there. So
It seems
I agree with
dicey
you.
to
Stay off
me.
that one. Jamie Pick. Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. He's not fully shown yet. Although he's been a killer, I get it. But once that level goes up, and we don't really know how good Turkali is, we don't. We haven't been shown enough yet. So Jamie Pickett against Dennis Tululin. Tululin coming in as the plus 105 dog. Some love coming in on Tululin, and I do see why. Both guys are about the same when it comes to the KO power and the stand-up at least. But the willingness more comes from the Tululin side to actually throw them. And we're going to look at Jamie Pickett to likely body lock him to death on the fence. But minus 130. He is the favorite, likely because he could win some kind of sort of grappling affair where he's sort of grappling and wrestling the guy up against the fence. But yeah, what's your take on this one, Tululan? I like him as the dog. I like him even potentially by a KO, but you know, the line's starting to go the wrong way for me, and I'll probably just stay off this one.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have a small play on Tululan by the KO. I think he's definitely the side here. I'll admit, like Jamie Pickett goes on the fucking train with William Turman or whatever. John makes fun of me because I always fucking term whatever. I always say this guy's name wrong. He's up there with Water Buffalo and Fabio Charant. Like, I really despise this guy. Like, whenever I'm doing tape for podcasts, the name Jamie Pickett is not what I want to see. So I'm gonna fade this guy every chance I get. But
plus 325 for KO.
Honestly, dude, if you look at tournament, like not tournament, see now I'm fucking on my names, but if you look at Tululan, his most of his wins come by KO in the first round. Like, I think he's really gonna pressure Pickett, and I want to see these guys size up against each other and see really, because Pickett is very big for the weight class.
Yeah.
And if he looks like he's towering over this guy, then I feel like my argument could potentially go out the window because, as you said, he's gonna body lock him and make it a real boring ass fight. But if this fight takes place at your standard range, I think he's gonna get knocked out. I think he's gonna get knocked out early. So
yeah, I mean, this is another example of just pick your spots. You were talking to me about this last week. You know, just pick a couple spots, stick to them. Don't touch anything else. And really, when it comes down to it, this is another one. The Drakali fight's one as well. I like Dabadu as a strong play. You can even dig in on a decision. You play stuff like that, not the ones that you're second guessing yourself 6 different ways. Unless you want to sprinkle a quick little prop, but manage your props too.
You do not need to bet
Jake
every
Collier
fight
against Chris Barnett. This is another example of what I was talking about. I didn't really talk too long on this one because there's not much to talk about. Jake Collier, well-rounded mixed martial artist against Chris Barnett, who is a undersized heavyweight with kickboxing prowess and dynamic stuff that works sometimes against guys who want to retire, more or less. But plus 325 Chris Barnett, minus 450 in an unplayable fight of Jake Collier.
Yeah, I honestly can't bet this fight, man. I was talking about this in the group chat, and like, this is gonna stray away from the betting thing, man. But I don't know if you read that article about Chris Barnett and his wife that passed away like 30 hours before his last fight.
Really?
Yeah, man. Like, it was so fucking heartbreaking to read. Like,
That's
that,
horrible.
I guess his wife got like, she had terminal cancer, and like, they called it 30 hours before he had made his last fight against Bawar, whatever that guy's name was, the one where he got that elite. Yeah, Budai, where he got that illegal shot, and then said they had to pretty much pull the plug on his wife. Like, it was a horrible article to read, man. Said that he just wasn't in that fight, man. So that being said, I don't necessarily think that changes this. I definitely think Collier is the side, but man, I can't bet against a guy like that, man. Like, I feel
stay off it.
Yeah, man, because you know he's fighting for his wife in this one, man. So
yeah, I'm staying off it. Narratives don't play for me. Unless I already have stats to back them. Norma Dumont minus 425 and a line that's too wide right now, but I got an angle on this one against Danielle Wolf. Danielle Wolf is a amateur boxer who's got an extensive boxing career. I get it. She comes into the Dana White Contender Series 2 years ago, has a big victory, doesn't fight for 2 years, and could leaps and bounds show development. But she's 39 years old. She's not 24, 25. She's not Natalia Silva. I don't see her coming out here with something different, something crazy, and being able to out-grapple a Norma Dumont. I cannot see Norma Dumont's corner not running a game plan of grappling here. It does not make sense to me if they stand and bang with her to prove a point. She needs a win, and I think she's going to take her to the ground. I like Norma Dumont submission because minus 425 is already way too wide, so they're forcing me to my win condition. I definitely like Dumont by submission at plus 400. What's your thoughts? Fight doesn't go. Plus 142.
Yeah, honestly, I would just take the fight doesn't go. Because if this fight takes place standing, like, Wolf is going to fucking just throw bombs at her. Not that Norma's, I don't think she's ever been finished, but she's going to have a pretty heavy boxing disadvantage if it's on the feet. This fight's at 145, so it's not like these are 115ers or atom weights or anything like that. Like this is kind of the upper weight classes of the women's divisions. So I think their KO power is definitely going to be live here. And I think if this fight hits the ground, Norma can finish this fight in the first round. So I like Norma, man, though. I like her inside the distance. And yeah, man, if they're giving you plus money on the under in this, I would take that all day.
Under 2.5 plus 165, but don't get greedy. I think this is one of the plays of the week. Fight doesn't go the distance, plus 142. We got a DiChirico situation on our hands.
Dude, if this fight ended at like 2 minutes and 35 seconds and you gave it away over 20 cents on the dollar, I think you'd be pretty pissed off. So as you said,
100%.
stick with the fight doesn't go.
Okay, that's an official play. I'm with it. Okay, next fight on the card, we have Chad Analiger against Haile Eletang. This one I watched a lot of tape on Eletang and Analiger. We know what we're going to get from the Canadian. He's going to press. He's going to not go away. He's going to be able to scramble on the ground. He's got big power in his hands. And if he touches you enough, you're going to go to sleep. And that's just it. Haile Eletang, or Eletang Haile, God damn it, I don't even know. Analiger. Eletang is good when he initiates the first couple strikes, gets his opponent to commit, and then counters them. So he sets up his counters. If he's not setting up his counters and he's constantly just waiting and allowing his opponent to press him and he's waiting to throw this big overhand and he's missing, he's going to get tagged up. And then what happens is later in fights I watch, he realizes he's behind and he starts to press forward. When he does that, he leaves his head right out there. So as much as his striking can look good when it's early in fights and when he's more mentally sound and the cardio is so good, it starts to fall apart if he's running behind for sure. And I think Analiger is going to be able to press him as much as he needs to. I like the dog money on him. We can even go for finish and whatever else, but I like it plus 145. Don't get cute with it. Chad Analiger, the dog, one of my dog picks of the week.
Yeah, man, I like Chad a lot in this spot too. I definitely think that he's gonna be able to push the pressure. I don't think a lot of Eletang Haile. I think he's shown to have some sort of power, and he does have a fair bit of a wrestling advantage in this fight. But as we've all seen with Chad over the years, that he's very capable of getting back to his feet. So, and if this fight takes place standing, as I said, like I think Eletang Haile has the power advantage, but the output, is 100% going to come from Chad. So I think it's just pretty much what the judges are going to score. And Chad's been able to get off his back a fair bit. So even if Eletang Haile takes him down, I think he's going to be able to bounce back up. And I think it's going to show more on the judges than anything, to be honest.
And then if you look at the over-unders, under 2.5 is plus 145. But I think both guys are going to be pretty durable. But fight doesn't go is plus 120. But I mean, I could see it going the distance too, but I think Chad's the side. That's why I looked at all the different angles and I was like, you know what? Like the only one that's crazy that's jumping out at me is if Chad pulled off a crazy submission at plus 2,000, but I just think I'm submission hungry. I just think plus 145 is the way to go. Next fight on the card, second last fight, but second fight of the night when we're watching. Melissa Martinez against Elise Reed. We have Melissa Martinez coming in. This is her first fight. It's correct. It's her debut in the UFC, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't see anything else. I just saw regional stuff, and that's what I had assumed. Scrappy has a good sort of a kickboxing style. Like it's kickboxing now in MMA, but I know that karate is a little bit more of her background. Coming in as the minus 170 favorite. I get it. People are shitting on Elise Reed a little bit, but she's had some pretty good strength of schedule, and she's a solid kickboxer. I said it before, and I'll say it again. Plus 140 or even Elise Reed by decision. I like it. I'm taking it. Elise Reed, the dog, nice and quick. What's your take on this one?
Yeah, man, this is one of my harder takes on this card, man. Elise Reed's definitely my dog of the night, man. I just think that the strength of schedule from her opponent is utter dog shit. And the only time like Elise Reed went up on short notice against Shajara Eubanks up a weight class, and people were like, "Oh, she got wrestled. She sucks." It's like no shit. And yeah, like
what she could do. She got ragdolled, and she basically got ragdolled for a contract.
Exactly. And she's a primary striker, and she came in with 0 training camp against a grappler. It's like, the fuck did you expect to happen? So I don't really understand the hate. And I said her strength of schedule, man. Even Corey McKenna wasn't able to do a lot in that fight until the third round. And Elise Reed's striking looked on point. So I like her Elise Reed all day in this fight, man.
She got strength of schedule. She's giving her a win condition. Unless Martinez pulls out some crazy wrestling game we don't know. Yeah, man. I'm with the dog on this one too. I like it. Next fight on the card. I'm gonna take my Homer hat off. We got Johan Lioness against Darian Weeks. I want to be a Canadian Homer on this one, and I backed him last time. And Johan, if he touches you, yes, his win condition is early, and he's going to put you to sleep. And he could improve his cardio, and things could get better. But I just think the way he throws punches, landing shots like Derek Lewis, knocking fools out, I just don't see him being able to miss. And if Weeks gets him to miss and then be able to last, if he misses, he's just going to burn his arms out, burn his gas tank out. If Weeks can get in there, jump under one of those shots early, take him down to the mat, get on him, lean on him, wear on him early. That should be the play for the first round. You could look at a Weeks live bet depending on how the first round goes. But Weeks at minus 124. I'm on the Weeks side of this. I know it's a little tight now, but I like Weeks by decision even. I think he could actually ride a decision for 3 rounds. If not, Weeks by 3rd round or decision is going to be my play on this one. No line on that yet, but what's your take on this one? Boxing of Weeks and the wrestling of Weeks versus some Muay Thai and some power of the Canadian.
Yeah, I think it's gonna get dicey. The only way I'd play this fight, to be honest, is if and it'd have to be at good odds, would be Lioness KO or Weeks decision. Because I think if this fight goes like 15 minutes, it's gonna be Weeks just grappling because Weeks gonna get clipped and he's not gonna want to strike. But it's just when he gets clipped, is he's gonna be able to withstand it, right? So I think Weeks is definitely gonna turn to his wrestling in the spot, but I think he's probably gonna try and prove a point prior. He's still fairly fresh in the game, doesn't have a lot of big wins in the UFC, so I feel like he's going to want to make a statement, but I don't think this is the guy to make a statement against. So this is just high variable. I said DraftKings offers these lines. They're not out yet, but I definitely think that those are the 2 most likely outcomes.
Okay, so we're looking at spots. I'm just going to go quickly through them from the Lioness fight all the way up to the main event. That's more of likely a stay off for me. I think he could catch him early, but I think Weeks does win there. But I think it's going to create a stay off situation for me in the first fight of the night. But I'm definitely on the Weeks side of things, and I think we're on the same page. Reed is the first dog of the night at plus 140. Even if you want to look at Reed by decision, depending on where those lines go and what's going on with that, I could be in on that. Next, I'm on Chad as well too. Depending on where the lines are when everything really drops out, we'll see. I think most stuff's out now actually, but Chad at plus 145 I think is where the value lies the best because I could see him winning all 3 different ways. We're on the same page there, correct?
Yep.
And then I like Norma Dumont by submission, man. I think that's going to be more of my big prop of the week. Norma Dumont by submission. What do you think?
I like Norma Dumont inside the distance, but the submission prop, you're definitely getting good value on it, so I don't hate it
You
at
know
all.
what? You're right there, man, because the Norma Dumont by inside the distance, she maybe gets her to the ground, gets a dominant position, and starts to rain down elbows and ground and pound, and boxers don't look good off their back. Next fight, we look at Jake Collier, Chris Barnett, nope. Jamie Pickett, Dennis DeLublin, nope. Turcali and Almeida, nope. Unless you can find it inside the distance, you want to touch it because you like Almeida, but nope. Hakeem Dawodu, that's the side, man. I like that play. I think that's actually maybe even a fight to isolate and sort of stick to because I think he's the side in that. And no matter what way you want to try to play it, maybe a KO and decision at minus 200 is even nice. But man, definitely Dawodu. And we're agreeing on that one, right?
That's it.
Okay, so it's going to be Dawodu as a play. We're looking at Dumont by submission. We're looking at 2 dogs in Reed and Anna and that brings us to the walkie fight that we stay off. Aldana by decision.
Yep.
Kevin Holland and Rodriguez. That's going to be a split fight.
Yeah.
And Tony Ferguson as a potential dog, but you're on the Lee side of things. So we're split on that one, and we'll leave it at the main event with no real play, unless you're a Diaz boy and you want to put some value in on Diaz by submission.
The second Drake put 50K on that fight, I knew there was no value left on Diaz.
All right.
He took all the value away from us. So
for that, I am Callum McGregor. Donttap Over 1.5 with the man with the angles, Nick Eagle. Thank you for jumping on, brother. I know things are busy. I'm glad that we can pump out as much content as possible as we come up to our 1-year anniversary. I hope you give me flowers, baby.
That's it, brother.
We like to
Cheers,
chop
man.
it up. We like to dig in, lining our pockets while lining yours, and we love to watch tape. If you don't like it, what we got here is
Failure to communicate.
Those guys are the ones who really do their homework, you know what I mean?
For this fight, I'm telling you, it's a flip of a coin.
He did not tap.
Let's go!
Let's go! There we go. Immortalized forever on YouTube as a